Straight cash, homie.
Would you please break a damn story?
He took it out.
Oh, for you.
For you. Monday edition PFT OT. We got the PFT PM music on there as well because it goes into the PFT PM podcast.
What is that from? Pour you. What is that? Where is that?
Sopranos. It's Olivia.
Soprano? Oh,
Olivia.
okay. Gotcha.
For you.
For you.
Yeah. Poor you to have to deal with me. Poor me to have to deal with you. But we got other things that we have to deal with because we only had 2 hours to address things coming out of the
only
ninth
2
Sunday.
hours. We need to do 30 more minutes of talk.
It's
No,
only
I'm
about
joking.
20. You're complaining. You know, the guy complains about having a job that millions would kill for.
Oh,
you got anything?
You know what I
any
want to say?
travel
That?
complaints?
You want me to
Go
say
ahead.
what I
Go ahead. Say what you want to say.
Don't me with that statement, okay? It still work. How you like that? PFTOT, okay?
All right. Well, I asked.
You asked.
I shouldn't have asked.
You shall receive.
All right. They asked Odell Beckham Jr. after the game about the cleats that they had to remove. He and Jarvis Landry had non-conforming cleats during the first half, and CBS reported during the game against the Broncos that they weren't going to be allowed to play in the second half if they didn't change their cleats.
Right.
And Odell Beckham Jr., he thinks that he is the only guy who's ever been fined for not conforming with the uniform rules, who's ever been given a hard time about not conforming, and that is so wrong. And I'm not surprised he thinks he's the only guy who's ever been punished because he thinks he's the only guy, right?
Well, yeah.
The world revolves around Odell Beckham Jr. I know that you are an Odell Beckham Jr. fan, but I'm sorry, at a certain point, you have to say this isn't an issue of immaturity. This isn't an issue of naivete. This is a guy who thinks the sun rises in his face and sets up his ass, and I'm sick of it.
Well, he's a superstar, okay? He is. And we know wide receivers are a little bit like that. There's worse in the NFL than Odell Beckham Jr.
I agree with that.
This is where it's weird to me. Okay, this is the only where it's weird. And again, I'm not for that. Like, I don't want him wearing the $200,000 watch in the field and giving people the ammo there. Or I lost an earring in the scrum with Marlon Humphrey. Like, yeah, that's your fault. You decide to wear, lots of carrots in your ear, and it's football, and things like that happen. But where I think this is just weird, okay? I've never heard of you're not allowed to play unless you've changed the cleats. Never. Fines are fine. I'm just telling you, I've been around the NFL my whole life. I've never seen a player pulled off the field because your visor isn't right and they're not going to let you play. That, to me, is a little bit of a guy who's a superstar who's under the microscope and like somebody from 345 Park Ave's taking special notice of him. All these guys just get fined, like you mentioned. Kamar, they get fined. That's all there is. Oh, okay, I don't have the right cleats on. Any team I was ever a part of, that's where it is. So that's where I just want to push back a little bit. Go, that's weird.
There is a
you're
procedure.
Not going to play.
There is a procedure I'm aware of, though, that if they fine you enough times, it will eventually say that's it. Now, I don't know if they slip these cleats on during the first half. It sounds like Odell Beckham Jr. just decided to wear the white cleats that had some decoration on
right.
them. The rule is very simple.
Yes.
It used to be, and they should go back to it so there'd be no misunderstanding, everybody just wore the same shoes. It's a uniform. The whole idea is you don't want to individualize a uniform because these guys are supposed to look like they are on a team and they're all wearing the same thing. And it drives me crazy. I still can't get used to it because when you see guys wearing different shoes, it messes with your eyes.
Yeah,
just
sure.
put
You want
the
to see
same
some
colors on top to bottom.
Yeah.
Right? What's the big deal? It's just freaking shoes, people. It's shoes during a football game.
Yeah, but not to athletes. That's not the way they are.
Then do it after the game.
Basketball,
I hate to sound like a get off my lawn guy, but sometimes you just got to get the off of my lawn.
Well, it's just the way athletes are that way. You know me. You see me. I like my sneakers and doing all that too.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
We wear dress shoes.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
You don't come out in your Jordans.
No, I know.
Right? You conform.
Right. Yes, you're right. I conform, and I get that. And also, I think we have to explain this little other avenue of the conversation too. The Browns changed what they were going to wear uniform-wise.
Doesn't matter.
During the
that
week.
Doesn't matter. He still can choose black, white, or a secondary color. It
right.
doesn't matter they went from white jerseys to brown jerseys.
Well,
that's a false argument.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Doesn't matter.
Change it.
He could still wear black, white, or a secondary team caliber.
Okay, so you're saying if he had the white, I just want to make sure I got this right, so please tell me if I'm wrong. If they were wearing the white uniforms, the shoes he wore still wouldn't have not have been allowed yesterday?
They wouldn't have been allowed. He could have worn white. He was going to wear white cleats, right? They switched to brown jerseys, so he wasn't going to wear white cleats. And this is more about, I think, how he thinks the shoes look.
Yeah,
right?
well, definitely.
Right. So he had white cleats with this like Joker stuff on them, and he decided he was going to wear them. So he came out with black cleats in the second half. I just look, in my mind, there's nothing that's more functional than the equipment you have on your feet when you're a football player.
Yeah.
And I understand that it's a way to make a statement. It's a way to separate yourself. It's a way to build your brand and all that stuff. There's a point where it's just, look, these are your shoes that you wear. These are your tools, right? You don't see guys painting decorations on their hammer. You just get your hammer and you go pound your nails. These shoes are hammers. These shoes are, because he was complaining about when he switched to black cleats in the second half, they hurt his feet. Well, you know what? If you would have had a conforming pair of cleats from the get-go, you would have had a comfortable pair.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that,
also more to it than that. Look, the players, they live by the credo of look good, play good. Okay, there's a lot of guys that are messing with all that stuff. Also, there's millions of dollars at stake with what he has at Nike there, too.
Right.
So there's more there than just a guy that has a hammer that he doesn't want to dress up.
But here's the other side of it, too. Your team sucks.
Yeah, so it gives you
so
another...
that should not be an issue. The last thing we should be talking about with the 2-6 Browns is what shoes Odell Beckham Jr. is wearing.
I hear you. I get you. Now, only thing I really challenge in this, and I would really like to know the answers to this, and maybe you could dig through this through, whoever you know in the NFL or whatever. I just don't know anybody who's been told you're not playing unless you change your cleats. I've never heard of that.
That's a fair point.
Okay?
That's a fair point.
And
unless
same with the Monday Night Football game against the Jets.
Fined for non-conforming cleats in past weeks, and they finally decided we're not going to let you play. But you know what? Here's the thing.
Right.
If that's the case, they wouldn't let him on the field at all. It's not. We're gonna.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And the same with the visor in week 2 against the Jets. I'm just, again, and I might be wrong. And if I am, please, we'll discuss it tomorrow and we'll figure this out. I have just never seen a guy taken off. Oh, you're inside the 10-yard line. Get off the field. We've now deemed your visor has to come off at this second. I've never heard of that in the history of the NFL. So, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm right about this. That's something I study here. But I've never heard of it.
Here's the thing, though. Yeah. Okay, and this is part of the challenge in life of dealing with whatever circumstances come your way and coloring within those lines.
Yep.
Because right or wrong, if Odell Beckham Jr. has become this personality that there's somebody at 345 Park Avenue who's out to get him in some way and is trying to mess with him by saying what he can and can't wear, there's a point where you just have to accept it and you have to operate within those confines so it doesn't become a distraction for your team. It's wrong. It's not fair. I don't like it. But they've put this barrier here, and there isn't a damn thing I can do about it, so I may as well conform to it so I don't have to get new cleats at halftime, so I don't have to leave the game and take off my visor because I know that they're being jerks and it's directed at me. If that's how he feels, hey, you know what? I think he's wrong when he says he's being singled out, but if he is being singled out, then do what you have to do to not be singled out.
That's
I mean,
fair.
there's a point where you just have to give.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, hey, listen, he 345, if they are watching over him, they're watching over him because he's a superstar. And he's got that kind of power to where when I watch the Cleveland Browns, not going to lie, I always look down to see what cleats Odell Beckham Jr. is going to wear. I'm kind of a, shoe for lack of a better phrase that way. I like that kind of
There
stuff.
are probably better terms than that.
Probably, but it could have been better ones. But that one I think was pretty appropriate and fit the right way. I like a lot, I like to check that stuff out. But either way, your point is real, and I get it. I just would like to know the answers to those threats.
He's got 1 touchdown through 8 games this year, 39 catches, 575 yards. That puts him on pace for 78 receptions, 1,150 yards. He had 77 in 1052 last year in 12 games with the Giants. He's only had one 16-game season for his career. He had 1,367 receiving yards that year. That was 2016 with the Giants. So the guy, I don't know, he's not producing superstar stats.
No.
That, to me, should be a far bigger concern for Odell Beckham Jr. than his shoes, than his visor, than his watch. And there's a point where there's just a point where it's played out, it's too much, and you got to focus on your game, not all this other crap.
Yeah.
And
we're just giving everybody ammunition.
That's
and
all
it's just like Baker Mayfield last week.
This should
like
not
that.
be a talking point when the team you play for stinks.
Yep.
The talking point should
That's
be,
fair.
what do I need to do to make the team better?
I
All
get you.
Speaking of teams that stink.
Let's figure that out, though. I will. Yeah. Okay.
I will. Sure, I will.
Yeah.
The Jets, they stink. And we've talked about Freddie Kitchens possibly being one and done. I've got the poll question at PFT that had almost 40,000
votes,
50,000 votes, something like that. I'll get an update while we're doing this about whether or not he should be one and done. It's a fair question to ask for Adam Gase. Even though Adam Gase coached 3 years with the Dolphins before he took over the Jets job, he's 1-7, and it's not going well. And at what point do we ask the question, and is it a fair question to ask, should he be one and done?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a fair question. I understand that. I think it's a little different than Freddie Kitchens, and where, the Browns have talent. The Browns, again, I mean, it's like, 3 games in a row, you could sit there and go, they could have won the game, but they find ways to blow things. I mean, either way. The Jets have looked ugly, but the Jets, at least you can make the argument for a guy like Adam Gase to go, there's not tremendous talent with this team. I mean, there's just not. I mean, corners are not special. C.J. Mosley getting hurt makes their linebackers kind of average. There's no pass rusher, and then, the offensive side of the ball, the offensive line's not that good. Quincy Enunwa gets hurt. There's no great receivers there either. Sam Darnold's struggling, which is on Adam Gase. That doesn't look good. So I do think there's other concerns with that team. And the guy that built the team before this is really the biggest problem here, but he's not there anymore. And now, Joe Douglas and Adam Gase are having to deal with this travesty of a roster, and that's really the biggest issue here. But it's certainly not been a good look for Adam Gase, and it doesn't look good yesterday when really you were, kind of like not dominated, but you felt like the Dolphins had control of the game pretty much throughout.
And, we talk about this as it relates to expectations and the Browns. The expectations were too high for the Browns. Freddie Kitchens didn't do a very good job of reeling them in. Same thing for the Jets. Not that we expected the Jets to be great, but I expected them to be competitive.
Yeah.
And that's where the organization needs to set the agenda, that this team still has a long way to go. They started doing it last week after all the embarrassments and the trades and almost trades, and this guy's available or he's not available, and you had Joe Douglas and Adam Gase out there talking about how far the team has to go. Those are things that need to be said in August.
Yeah.
And there's a fine balance there, because the people who are charged with selling tickets and merchandise and otherwise making money, they like excitement because excitement generates revenue in the offseason. But what it also generates is a bar that is way too high for a team that has a long way to go. And I'm starting to wonder, is Sam Darnold truly Adam Gase's guy? Because Sam Darnold, even though he was the AFC Offensive Player of the Week a few weeks ago for their win over the Cowboys, I tell you what, since the night he was seeing ghosts, he has not looked good.
No, he is not. And it's you know me, Mike. I'm not into like stats all the time and things like that. I would agree with you. The last 2 weeks, I don't like. I haven't liked the way it's looked either. I haven't seen like wow throws or wow plays in general. I thought his arm last week looked a little tired against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which was always a concern with me with Sam Darnold, because his motion is it's a kind of motion that lends itself to its arm getting tired as the year goes on, and you're making throws every day in practice in the game and all of that. Was always one of my worries about him coming out of USC. Doesn't have a lot of help though. The pass pro is not great. The run game's not good. And Adam Gase is a little stuck because of those issues. And then, of course, he's trying to mold a young quarterback to kind of conform and get better playing in the NFL. He's still very young. Let's not forget about it. He got hurt last year as a rookie, so he hasn't started a whole lot of football games. But, yeah, overall, everything's looked bad, and Darnold has not looked good since that Cowboys game.
I just wonder if he came back from mono too early, that it was adrenaline that carried him through that Cowboys game.
Maybe.
And that the grind, the slog of being back at practice and playing week in and week out, has he truly recovered from the mono?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't answer that. But, their whole team looks like they have mono right now.
All right, another topic, and this relates to the Browns and the Jets. A couple of players on social media getting into fights with fans. Jermaine Whitehead, over the top to the point where he's been cut by the Browns. He had some awful things he said last night on Twitter directed to Browns fans. The team issued a statement calling the tweets on social media totally unacceptable, highly inappropriate. We immediately spoke with Jermaine upon learning of these comments. The Browns in no way condone that type of language or behavior. This matter will be further addressed internally. That was last night. By today, Whitehead is gone. Same thing happened for the Jets. Cornerback Darryl Roberts posted some stuff on Twitter our social media. I'm not sure whether it was Twitter or Instagram or what. I'm sorry, but it's got to be said. All y'all fake-ass fans effing kill me with that negative SH bleep T. If you're going to, we've already cursed galore on this. I don't know what, galore. I don't know why we're being careful. If you're gonna rock with us, then rock with us. But it ain't. If you ain't, shut the F up, please, and go like another team. That's Daryl Roberts. And it's just amazing how social media has become such a driving force in the existence of folks in their teens and 20s. And even I look and see what the interaction is. You can't get upset about that. You got to learn that you gain nothing by giving into that temptation to fight someone.
Definitely. I mean, what the hell? Come on. I mean, first of all, Jermaine Whitehead, what the hell are you doing? I mean, that was just like that. That couldn't be dumber and more stupid. There's a good chance he never sees the NFL again because of that. And what I want to say to all players is, why the hell are you getting in the locker room and checking social media right away? Cool off, take a shower, process the game a little bit.
But they do it right away.
I know, and it's because it shows you that social media is addictive. We know this. These are real issues. It's affecting our whole country. It's affecting our whole world. And I just don't get it. And especially as an NFL football player,
when people are driving in their cars checking social media.
Well, you know that. It drives me crazy. I mean, they should be arrested and thrown in jail for the night. I mean, I'm sick of that too. If I have to drive by one more guy in the fast lane who's on Instagram or on Facebook while he's going 70, I mean, really, they should be there should be a public stoning for that. You're going to put us all in danger because you got to check what's cool on Instagram. But as an NFL player, what the hell are you doing? Who gives a damn with a bunch of fans who really don't understand the game in its full completeness anyways and are just emotional about the loss too? Why are you even giving it credence? I just don't understand it. It's like you got to be smarter than that as players, and especially if you're not a superstar player, you're not going to win that battle. If you're a bottom of the roster player, your ass is going to get cut. And I mean, Daryl Roberts, he probably hangs in there because he's more of a vital piece to that defense. But he's certainly going to get a talking to today by the Jets. And I mean, he does something like that again, I bet you his butt gets cut too.
I'm sorry, are you saying something? That was a funny dog video.
Oh, yeah, of course you were. Yeah, that's what you do. That's what you do.
But you're right. There's a point where you got to be able to control yourself. And I don't know how much coaching goes into this, what kind of messages are sent to the players, because this is the kind of stuff that you would think would be avoidable. Now, for a team that can't get out of its own way like the Browns and the Jets, this is very far down on the list of priorities. But you wonder, is it a chicken and the egg type of thing? Is this why they suck? Do they have too many guys in the locker room who have like this miswiring in their brains and they're not properly focused on the things that they should focus on? Like, we're never going to hear anything like this happen with the Patriots. You're not going to have a story on a Monday. Watch, it's going to happen now.
No,
you're never going to have a story on a Monday that somebody from the Patriots decided to launch into a Twitter tirade, because even though Bill Belichick acts like he doesn't know what social media is, he knows what it is.
Yeah.
And he's going to know if you do something you shouldn't do, and if you do something you shouldn't do, your ass is gone.
Yeah, no, it's laid out in simple terms. It's just in New England, you know what you can and can't do from this moment you step in that door. And you conform, or they get you out of there and they don't need you. I mean, just like what they did to Michael Bennett. I mean, look, how much money did they give Michael Bennett? They gave him how many million signing bonus? $4 or $5 million signing bonus?
See you later.
Yeah, see you later.
Hey, they did Antonio Brown.
Right. Antonio Brown. And add him into the conversation. What the hell are you doing? Nobody wants to sign you in the league. And now all of a sudden Antonio Clown becomes a thing of the Halloween, and he's got to attack all those people on social media, which is only going to invite people to do stuff like that more, because they're going to go, oh, look, I'm some idiot from wherever, and I'm some idiot from New Jersey.
And they love nothing more than debate you.
Antonio Brown's skin. This is awesome.
Yeah.
He's actually mad at me from New Jersey. I mean, like, whatever. That is
the one thing to remember. If you're in the public eye, if you have a significant following on social media, they are trying to bait you, because that's going to make their day. If you respond to them, if you react to them, and it is a very potent temptation.
It's hard, I know.
And I'm sure you give in to it from time to time.
I do. Well, it's a good thing. The best thing I have going for me is, and I flip through my social media, but I try not to tweet directly more times than not. And when I do want to send a tweet out, I send it to actually somebody here at NBC, as you know, Matt Casey, who then kind of looks at it and he's my filter because I can get emotional just like players can too. I get it. Sometimes a guy attacks me and I want to be like, man, you're so wrong in everything you said, but I just can't deal with it. And it's frustrating. But hey, live in the moment, enjoy life around you. Not everybody gets stuck in their phone and their iPad all the time and reading all this crap.
As you watch this video on your phone, that would be the great irony.
Well, that's not social media. We're talking about something at least irrelevant to football news and like having a conversation about it, what you shouldn't do. But yeah, I know.
We have fulfilled our allotment of the extra 30 minutes. I have a plane to catch, and I don't want to miss it. Otherwise, I got to deal with this ass tomorrow.
Yeah. Up yours, Florio.
Up your butt, Joe Boo. What's that music?
It's the music from the
it's
show.
The music
They're
on
trying
the
to
way out. I
wrap you
thought it was
out.
something
They're
different.
telling you to shut up.
To play us out. What does it mean to play us out? All right, see ya. Everybody have a great day. See you on Tuesday.
See ya.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.